and welcome. You're watching Good Morning India. I'm Gargi Raut. Stay with us for all the news you need to start today with. Coming up ahead, the Bihar police claims to have arrested the mastermind of the Navami violence. Also, the BJP to release its first list for Karnataka elections today. Let's take a look at the headlines we're tracking at this hour. The Bihar police say the violence during Bihar Sharif's Navami procession appeared to be a well-planned conspiracy and a WhatsApp group was created to plan it out. The mastermind has now been held. The Supreme Court will hear a petition filed by the West Bengal government against the report sought by the Calcutta High Court on the Navami violence. A two-day nationwide mock drill begins today to assess hospital preparedness amid rising COVID cases. State health ministers to actively participate. The BJP Central Election Committee met on Sunday evening to finalize the candidates for the upcoming Karnataka Assembly poll. Sources have told NDTV the first list expected to be released today. After Delhi Lieutenant Governor Vinay Kumar Saxena took a jibe at the Chief Minister, saying some illiterate despite an IIT degree, Aam Aadmi Party begins a Show Your Degree campaign. Our top story now in the Navami procession, violence that rocked Bihar Sharif looks well planned. The Bihar police has said a man has surrendered for masterminding the violence over social media. Jitendra Singh Gawar, the ADG headquarters, said that Kundan Kumar surrendered as the mastermind of this social media. Apart from this, a total of 15 FIRs have been registered in Bihar Sharif, in which a total of 140 arrests have been made. Now, according to the police, the plans to execute the violence were planned over social media under Kundan Kumar's leadership. There was a WhatsApp group created with as many as 457 people, which was formed ahead of Navami, and this group was used to plot and execute the violence that then took place. Several parts of Bihar, mainly Nalanda and Rohtas districts, witnessed incidents of communal clashes and vandalism last week during the Navami celebrations. All right, the Supreme Court, in other news, the Supreme Court will hear the petition filed by the West Bengal government against the report sought by the Calcutta High Court from the West Bengal government in the Howrah violence case. Now, BJP leader Suvendu Adhikari had filed the public interest litigation in the Calcutta High Court demanding an NIA probe into the Howrah violence case. The Calcutta High Court had sought an action report from the West Bengal government on Howrah, Hooghly and Dalkoha violence that took place on April 5th in connection with the Navami processions. The Calcutta High Court will continue hearing the plea today, which has been filed by the BJP, but the Bengal government now approaching the Supreme Court against this hearing at the High Court level. With the cases of COVID rising rapidly in the country, the Union Health Ministry has decided to conduct a nationwide mock drill today and tomorrow to check the preparedness of both public and private health facilities to deal with the cases of the virus. Now, in a review meeting that was held on the 7th of April, the Health Minister, Mansukh Mandavia, had urged state health ministers to visit hospitals and oversee the mock drill. He had also advised them to review the preparedness with district administration and health officials. Election news now. In a political slugfest ahead of Karnataka elections, the opposition Congress and JDS are at loggerheads with the ruling BJP following the Gujarat milk brand Amul's entry into the Karnataka market. Now, the two parties have leveled allegations against Prime Minister Modi and Amit Shah of looting Karnataka.
As Karnataka heads to polls on May 10th, a war over milk ahead of elections. Since Gujarat-based Amul announced its launch in Karnataka market, the Congress and the JDS are at loggerheads with the Bommai government for allegedly destroying local brand Nandini. As the chorus to boycott Amul products grows louder, the opposition accused the ruling BJP for betraying the farmers of Karnataka.
Nandini, she is our milk. We have to use her. We have to help our farmers. Because the farmers are not getting proper price, we should help them. it will be deployed. It is Kannada pride, Karnataka farmers' pride. It is our land. So we have to protect our farmers. What they are trying to bring Amul here, it is a very shame on this. I never expected Bommai would betray the fame of farmers of Karnataka.
In the backdrop of the raging Amul versus Nandini controversy, leader of the opposition Siddaramaiah flayed Prime Minister Modi in a series of tweets questioning whether the Prime Minister's visit was to loot Karnataka. While there's strong opposition from the farmers' community and Hotel Association, the Chief Minister accused the Congress and the JDS of politicizing Amul's entry.
ನಂದಿನಿ ಬ್ರ್ಯಾಂಡನ್ನು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೇವೆ. ಹಾಲು ಉತ್ಪಾದನೆ ಹೆಚ್ಚಾಗುವಂಥದ್ದು ಮತ್ತು ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಪ್ರೋತ್ಸಾಹಧನ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದು ನಾವು. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಪ್ರಮಾಣದಲ್ಲಿ ಮೆಗಾ ಡೈರಿಗಳನ್ನು ನಮ್ಮ ಕಾಲದಲ್ಲೇ ಸ್ಥಾಪನೆ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಕೆಪಾಸಿಟಿ ಹೆಚ್ಚಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ ಕೆಪಾಸಿಟಿ ಹೆಚ್ಚಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಮಾರುಕಟ್ಟೆನೂ ಕೂಡ ಇದೆ. ಆದ್ದರಿಂದ ನಮ್ಮ ನಂದಿನಿ ಬ್ರ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ನಂಬರ್ 1 ಆಗ್ತದೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ದಿವಸದಲ್ಲಿ. ಈ ಅಮೂಲನ್ನು ರಾಜಕೀಕರಣಗೊಳಿಸುವಂಥ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್ನವರು. ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ರಾಜಕಾರಣ ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ.
See, the mindset of the Congress is such a cheap way, very lower way. They can ready to accept the product of the China, but they don't want to accept the product of India. What we think that we make our Nandini as a global brand. Every nook and corner of this world they want to prefer for Nandini. Okay.
The Amul versus Nandini debate has been a raging controversy since Amit Shah inaugurated the dairy farm in Mandya in December 2022. His statement that Gujarat and Karnataka can work for the welfare of the milk-producing farmers of the whole country kicked up a storm, triggering a political slugfest and a campaign to save Nandini. At first, it was an announcement by Mr. Shah on the merger of Amul and Nandini. And later on, it became the imposition of Hindi on curd packets manufactured locally. And now the BJP says the Congress is building a narrative against the ruling dispensation BJP for killing the livelihoods of the farmers and also killing the brand Nandini. Even despite the uproar, whether that is Hotel Association or Farmers Association, we see that the BJP has turned around and accused the Congress of building up a narrative instead of, in fact, allowing Amul to enter the market. In Bengaluru with Kumar, Shrija for NDTV.
Maharashtra Chief Minister Eknath Shinde visited Ayodhya on Sunday, where he offered prayers at the Ram Lalla temple. It was a show of strength with nearly 3,000 Shiv Sainiks accompanying him, and he said it was Bala Saheb's dream to have a grand temple in Ayodhya.
After reaching Ayodhya on Sunday morning, Maharashtra Chief Minister Eknath Shinde at a roadshow, and then a visit to the Ram temple. For Shinde, a reinforcement of his claim to be the real follower of Bala Saheb Thackeray following his Hindutva ideology.
अभी यहाँ से रामलला का दर्शन लेने के बाद एक ऊर्जा और प्रेरणा लेकर यहाँ से हम जाएंगे. महाराष्ट्र की जनता की सेवा हम समर्पित भावना से करेंगे. महाराष्ट्र का विकास करेंगे. महाराष्ट्र के गांव-गांव में हमारे सरकार की योजना को पहुंचाएंगे. ये शक्ति प्रदर्शन नहीं है. राम मंदिर और रामलला का दर्शन ये श्रद्धा और भावना का विषय, आस्था का विषय.
Maharashtra Deputy Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis also joined Chief Minister Eknath Shinde on the visit to Ramlala. Despite the large number of BJP workers that showed up, Devendra Fadnavis said the visit had nothing to do with politics.
किसी ने तय नहीं किया, मैंने तय किया. चूंकि दिल्ली में इलेक्शन कमेटी की मीटिंग थी, मुझे लग रहा था नहीं पहुंच पाऊंगा. मीटिंग चूंकि 4 बजे की हुई, इसलिए मैं पहुंच पाया. देखिए, इसका कोई राजनीति से संबंध नहीं है. रामलला का दर्शन लेने आए.
Chief Minister Eknath Shinde performed Aarti on the banks of Saryu in the evening and then met Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath at night. The Uddhav camp has attacked Shinde over the visit.
तो आपको क्या लगता है प्रभु श्री राम उनको आशीर्वाद देगा? आप देखो मुंबई में आने के बाद सरकार को क्या होता है. बेईमानों को कभी प्रभु श्री राम का आशीर्वाद नहीं मिलता है. आप वेट एंड वॉच.
In Ayodhya with Pramod Srivastava and camera person Rajesh Gupta, Sohit Mishra, NDTV.
After Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal raised the issue of the veracity of the Prime Minister's education degrees, Delhi Lieutenant Governor V.K. Saxena took a jibe at the Chief Minister, saying some illiterate despite IIT degree. The LG attacked Chief Minister Kejriwal without naming him for asking for the Prime Minister's degree, but AAP has hit right back and launched a Show Your Degree campaign and challenged the BJP leaders to do the same.
मैं कहना चाहूँगा कि कभी भी किसी को अपनी डिग्री पर गुमान नहीं होना चाहिए, क्योंकि डिग्रियां तो पढ़ाई के खर्च की रसीदें होती हैं और शिक्षा वही है जो आपका ज्ञान और आपका व्यवहार दर्शाता है। इन कुछ दिनों में मैंने देखा है किस तरीके का व्यवहार हो रहा है और मैं ये कह सकता हूं कि अभी एक बात भी प्रूव हो गई कि कुछ लोग आईआईटी से डिग्री लेने के बावजूद भी अशिक्षित रह जाते हैं।
अगर प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी उस एंटायर पॉलिटिकल साइंस डिपार्टमेंट के इकलौते छात्र रहे हैं तो वो डिपार्टमेंट तो जरूर उनके नाम पर उसका नामकरण होना जरूरी है। तो इसलिए आज मैं अपील करूंगी फिर से भारतीय जनता पार्टी के नेताओं से, और मैं तो कहूंगी देश के सारे राजनीतिक दलों के नेताओं से कि वो इस डिग्री दिखाओ कैंपेन में शामिल हो। और जिस तरह से मैंने अपनी तीनों डिग्रियां दिखाई हैं, उसी तरह से मैं रिक्वेस्ट करूंगी भारतीय जनता पार्टी से, उनके वरिष्ठ नेताओं से कि वो भी सामने आकर अपनी डिग्रियां जरूर दिखाएं।
Let's go across to Manish now for more on this story. Manish, the police claiming it was a very well-planned conspiracy, this Ram Navami violence. Tell us more about this alleged mastermind.
See, this Kundan Kumar is the convener of the local unit of the Bajrang Dal, and as you know that from the day one, the Chief Minister Nitish Kumar was hinting at some sort of conspiracy, and he was confident that he always used to express the confidence that Bihar police will be able to unravel the truth. And after, once the situation has come under control, now the police has started this crackdown and they have started disclosing to the media about the investigation. So far in the main investigation, it was revealed the, vital role of how this hatred was spread and how this whole entire violence was masterminded and what role this, Kundan Kumar has played, and there was a WhatsApp group which, instigated people to, inflict damage as well as, attack the people from the other community. So now the Bihar police is saying that there are 15 named accused, and out of which 5 have already been taken into the custody. Based on their interrogation and the arrest of the rest of the accused, they are confident and they are claiming that there was some sort of bigger conspiracy which they will be able to expose in the days to come. Kargi?
Right. And Manish, also the police saying that this Kundan Kumar had been arrested earlier in another issue, and now he will be remanded on this with these allegations as well.
Yes, of course, as I mentioned that he is an accused in the multiple cases, including the latest case filed by the EOW, but he was already taken into the custody, and in this case also he will be taken on remand and he will be interrogated to unravel the truth in this matter. Gargi?
All right. Thanks so much, Manish, for joining us with those latest details. News now from Maharashtra, and 7 people were killed while 5 were injured after heavy rainfall coupled with strong winds which caused a huge neem tree to fall on the tin shed of a temple. This was in the Paras village of Balapur Tehsil in Maharashtra's Akola district, and this took place on Sunday evening. The massive old neem tree fell on the tin shed of the Babuji Maharaj Mandir Sansthan after heavy rain lashed the Akola district.
बाबूजी महाराज संस्थान के सामने एक शेड था, टीन का शेड। वो शेड हवा को छूटने की वजह से शेड गिर गया। शेड के ऊपर नीम का बड़ा सा पेड़ गिर गया। उसके नीचे 12 से 15 लोग दबे हुए थे। उसमें से 12 लोगों को बाहर निकाला गया। अब ये शेड के नीचे कोई होने की आशंका नहीं है। वो 12 में से 7 लोग मर चुके हैं और 5 लोगों पे उपचार चालू है हॉस्पिटल में। मृतक में ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा लोग बुल्ढाना, भालेगांव तालुका खामगांव, जिला बुल्ढाना यहाँ के होने की आशंका है। जो लोग मर गए उनकी नाम और पहचान की तहकीकात शुरू है।
सर, घटना कितनी भयंकर थी?
हवा और बारिश दोनों भी इतनी जोर से छूट गई थी कि 100 तो 150 साल पुराना बहुत बड़ा नीम का पेड़ वो शेड के ऊपर गिर गया। इसी लोगों को बाहर निकलने का भी चांस नहीं मिला और लोग दब गए।
And in Omkareshwar, around 20 tourists were rescued after water was released from a dam on the Narmada River in Khandwa. The incident taking place at Nagar Ghat of Omkareshwar. Water is routinely released from the dam by the Narmada Hydroelectric Development Corporation during power generation. Now, this water was released after sounding the siren as usual, but some people did not come out of the water and got trapped on the rocks. According to the SDM, boatmen and home guards posted in the area then had to rescue these people. Now news from Bengal on the Ram Navami violence that took place over there, and today the Supreme Court will hear the petition filed by the West Bengal government against the report sought by the Calcutta High Court from the West Bengal government in the Howrah violence case. BJP leader Suvendu Adhikari had filed a public interest litigation in the Calcutta High Court demanding an NIA probe into the Howrah violence case. Now meanwhile, the Calcutta High Court, remember, had sought that action report from the West Bengal government on the Howrah-Hooghly violence that took place on April 5th in connection with the Ram Navami processions, and that hearing in the Calcutta High Court will continue today based on that BJP plea. Well, let's go across to Saurabh for more. And Saurabh, give us more details about this. The Calcutta High Court hearing will take place. Bengal government, meanwhile, has also approached the Supreme Court.
Well, yes, the Calcutta High Court will hear the matter in this case and look at what the state government has said in its report, and then on the basis of that decide on what course of action to take it. Now, in this matter already, the BJP has demanded, an NIA, and that is something that, the Trinamool, the ruling Trinamool, has opposed earlier. The Calcutta High Court had ordered the deployment of central forces or paramilitary forces for Hanuman Jayanti, because after the violence in Ram Navami, they did not want a repeat of what was said earlier in terms of Navami violence. So the Hanuman Jayanti, of course, passed off peacefully, and this is of course something that will go on now. As far as the Bengal government is concerned, the ruling Trinamool is concerned, the stand is very clear that there is a probe on, and arrest the one person for wielding a gun has been arrested from here and has been brought to Calcutta. This was in Howrah, and that's what the Trinamool says. And in that context, the Trinamool will obviously oppose any probe by the NIA. Abhishek Banerjee has gone on record to say that the BJP has moved for a probe by the NIA because BJP leaders want to go scot-free. So, in that context, what decision the Calcutta High Court takes would be interesting to watch, whether it allows an NIA probe or not, and that is expected today.
All right, Saurabh, thanks so much for joining us. With that, so the Calcutta High Court to decide on whether an NIA probe should take place on the Ram Navami violence in Bengal. Now, with the cases of COVID rising rapidly in the country, the Union Health Ministry decided to conduct a nationwide mock drill, which starts today and tomorrow, to check the preparedness of both public and private health facilities to deal with booming cases of the virus. In a review meeting that was held on the 7th, the Health Minister Mansukh Mandavia had urged the state health ministers to visit hospitals and oversee these mock drills. He had also advised them to review the preparedness of district administrations and health officials. Now, a tragic accident in Maharashtra where 7 people were killed while 5 people injured after heavy rain with strong winds caused a huge neem tree to fall on the tin shed of a temple in the Akola district. This took place on Sunday evening. A massive old neem tree fell on the tin shed of the Babuji Maharaj Mandir Sansthan after heavy rain lashed the Akola district, killing people.
बाबूजी महाराज संस्थान के सामने एक शेड था, टीन का शेड। वो शेड हवा को छूटने की वजह से शेड गिर गया। शेड के ऊपर नीम का बड़ा सा पेड़ गिर गया। उसके नीचे 12 से 15 लोग दबे हुए थे। उसमें से 12 लोगों को बाहर निकाला गया। अब ये शेड के नीचे कोई होने की आशंका नहीं है। वो 12 में से 7 लोग मर चुके हैं और 5 लोगों पे उपचार चालू है हॉस्पिटल में। मृतक में ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा लोग बुल्ढाना, भालेगांव तालुका खामगांव, जिला बुल्ढाना यहाँ के होने की आशंका है। जो लोग मर गए उनकी नाम और पहचान की तहकीकात शुरू है।
सर, घटना कितनी भयंकर थी? हवा कितनी जोर?
हवा और बारिश दोनों भी इतनी जोर से छूट गई थी कि 100 तो 125 150 साल पुराना बहुत बड़ा नीम का पेड़ वो शेड के ऊपर गिर गया। इसी लोगों को बाहर निकलने का भी चांस नहीं मिला और लोग दब गए।
Now in Omkareshwar, around 20 tourists had to be rescued after water was released from a dam on the Narmada River in Khandwa. This incident taking place at Nagar Ghat of Omkareshwar. Now water is routinely released from the dam by the Narmada Hydroelectric Development Corporation during power generation. The water was released after a siren was sounded in the area, but even then some people did not come out of the water, and after the water was released they got trapped on the rocks and had to be rescued. According to the SDM, boatmen and home guards posted in the area were the ones who rescued these tourists. Now, in a heart-wrenching incident in Greater Noida, the dead body of a 2-year-old girl was found hanging on in a bag peg in the house of a young man living in her neighborhood. The accused kept pretending to help the family when they were looking for the girl, and once the smell started coming from his residence, neighbors got suspicious and searched the room by breaking down the door, and then the body of the young girl was found, and the man has fled, and the family, of course, in mourning after the body was found.
दिनांक 8 अप्रैल को थाना सूरजपुर क्षेत्रांतर्गत ग्राम देवला के निवासी श्री शिव कुमार द्वारा थाने पर आकर के सूचना दी गई कि उनकी पुत्री जो लगभग 2 वर्षीय है वो 7 अप्रैल के दोपहर 2 बजे से घर से गायब है। इस सूचना का तुरंत संज्ञान लेकर के थाना सूरजपुर में सुसंगत धाराओं में अभियोग पंजीकृत किया गया और गुमशुदा की तलाश के लिए 3 विशेष टीमें लगाई गई। ये टीमें अपना प्रयास कर रही थी। इसी बीच आज ये सूचना प्राप्त हुई पुलिस को कि उसी मकान में रहने वाले एक अन्य किराएदार के कमरे से बड़ी दुर्गंध आ रही है। पुलिस टीम तुरंत पहुंची, हमारी फोरेंसिक टीम भी पहुंची। जब वहां की तलाशी ली गई तो ये पता चला कि उस एक पिट्ठू बैग में उस गुमशुदा बच्ची का शव है। इस पर तुरंत पंचायतनामा पोस्टमार्टम करवाई गई है और जो इस व्यक्ति के कमरे से पिट्ठू बैग बरामद हुआ है वो फरार है। चूँकि उसकी तलाश के लिए 3 विशेष टीमें लगाई गई हैं। शीघ्र ही उसकी गिरफ्तारी सुनिश्चित करके घटना के विभिन्न आयाम, कारण और पूरी छानबीन की जाएगी। जो भी शेष विधिक कार्रवाई है वो भी शीघ्र सुनिश्चित कराई जाएगी।
Union Home Minister Amit Shah will embark on a 2-day visit to the remotest villages along the LAC with China and Arunachal Pradesh's Anjao district from today, where he's going to launch India's Vibrant Villages program to develop the remote border villages in the country along with the borders, particularly those along the LAC with China. Now, the visit comes close on the heels of China releasing Chinese names for certain places in Arunachal, an attempt seen as China's bid to lay claims on Arunachal Pradesh, which India has been vehemently opposing. They see it as South Tibet. Mr. Shah would launch Vibrant Villages program in the border village Kibuthu, which falls in the Anjao district, which shares the borders with China and Myanmar. So a strong signal or a response from the Indian government to China's recent efforts. Now, for the moment, the Congress has backed Ashok Gehlot in its response to Sachin Pilot, saying the Gehlot government implemented many new schemes, made Bharat Jodo Yatra success in Rajasthan, and will seek a renewed mandate on the basis of the government's achievements. Welcome back. Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Sunday released the figures of the 5th cycle of India's tiger estimation, revealing that tiger numbers have once again increased in the country and now stands at 3,167 in the wild as of 2022. The tiger population in the country increased by 200 tigers or 6.7% in the past 4 years. The Prime Minister also released the tiger numbers while inaugurating the International Big Cat Alliance in Karnataka's Mysuru, the first of its kind in the country, organized to mark 50 years of Project Tiger.
मैं आप सबसे आग्रह करता हूं इन टाइगर के सम्मान में अपने स्थान खड़े होकर के हम टाइगर को स्टैंडिंग ओवेशन दें। Friends, India is a country where protecting nature is a part of culture. This is why it has many unique achievements in wildlife conservation. India is the largest tiger range country in the world. With nearly 30,000 elephants, we are the largest Asiatic elephant range country in the world.
Well, to talk more about tiger conservation and the challenges ahead, we're now joined by Neha Sinha, conservation biologist and author. Neha, the Prime Minister speaking about various issues and also celebrating tiger conservation in the country, the success of Project Tiger. But as you and I know, there are many challenges ahead. If you could, talk a bit about that.
Thank you so much, Gargi. Pleasure to be here. While it's great that tiger numbers have gone up by 200, and we've pretty much kept numbers stable since the last census, 2018 census, the fact is a lot of reserves in India don't actually have tigers. So there's a lot of inter-reserve disparity in India. So for example, the reserves of Odisha or Jharkhand, West Bengal are not doing well. So we need to figure out how to, connect different forests and connect different meta-populations of tigers with each other so that they can naturally disperse. And the PM spoke about ecology and economy going together.
Right.
Taking a cue from that, it's also important to make the tiger a cross-cutting issue. So many new laws and legislations are being reconsidered in our country given our developmental agenda. One of those is the Forest Conservation Act amendment, which is currently in Parliament. And it has a proposed clause which says that areas around highways and roadways and railways are not going to be considered forest. And this is a huge issue for many wildlife who live, around highways and railways, because these are linear projects that tend to cut through forest. Historically, and even at the present time, there's also another clause that says that areas near the border will not be considered forest. And of course, the entire Himalayas almost and the Northeast, which is a biodiversity hotspot, and tiger forests are near the border. So we need to make tigers a cross-cutting issue. While, we can look at our legislation and we are free to remake our laws, it is important to take the needs of the tigers along and plan how we can sort of make an exemption for conservation when we are looking at new legislature. So I take his words to heart, and it's a very important aspect that development should not come at the cost of conservation, but we need to work more at making conservation and tigers a cross-cutting issue across all the changes that we are making.
That's right. It was interesting that the Prime Minister said that, there is no conflict between ecology and economy, whereas we know that on the ground in various states, this is one of the big issues that many conservationists have to push back on, the fact that there is, development projects that are threatening our wildlife. And it's interesting that the Tiger Report 2022, which was also released, speaks about this. It says that, a lot of the habitats are facing challenges from our, aspirations in terms of economic development. So that really is something we need to continue focusing on.
Absolutely. And, there are also other challenges in terms of the fact that human-wildlife conflict is still a huge challenge.
Yes.
50 years down from Project Tiger. So just last year in November last year, a tigress was shot in Almora. Because she had come out into a bazaar in Almora. And this is the reality that tigers face. The moment they leave the tiger reserve, they get killed by highways, they get killed by trains, they get killed by people, right? There's a lot of revenge killing of tigers as well. So, how do we move forward on this? How do we move forward and make sure that animals like tigers, wild animals that are actually roaming and free-ranging. It's really important to understand that these are free-ranging animals. Tigers are territorial. Each tiger needs a territory of, say, 100 or 50 square kilometers, right? So if we are to increase our tiger population, if I am to look 50 years into the future, because we've had 50 years of a glorious of important Project Tiger. If I look 50 years in the future, we can't consider it without looking at these thorny issues of dealing with conflict, of having better rapid response teams, and really to make the Tiger at the heart of planning processes.
And so for that need to take the local populations along and ensure that the man-animal conflict is dealt with in a very fair way, and in a way that the local populations continue to support conservation efforts. We're also joined by Raza Kazmi, wildlife historian, conservationist and writer, and we were just talking about how we're celebrating 50 years of Project Tiger, but so many challenges still remain, and even as the numbers have remained somewhat stable, as Neha pointed out, and people talk about how at the turn of the century or after independence we had 40,000 tigers, and how we need to really increase the numbers. But there are a lot of challenges on the ground. While there's some sanctuaries that don't even have tigers right now, the other issue is a man-animal conflict and the threat to our forests from economic development.
Yeah, hi Gargi. I think I agree what has been said about this entire issue. And if you look at the history of Project Tiger, the interesting bit is that despite the fact that the numbers have shown an increase over the past few years, the distribution or occupancy of tigers is actually much less than what it was in the 1970s when Project Tiger was launched in 73. So if you look at the old maps and the old data that was presented when Project Tiger was being launched, a bulk of India's tiger population came from what is known as the East Central Indian Forest of what is now Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Odisha, and even northeastern states apart from Assam. So Nagaland had a significant population, Mizoram had a good population, Arunachal had a good population. So all these states have been doing quite poorly in successive the census exercise revealed that they have been doing quite poorly, and tigers have more or less gone functionally extinct in all these states except for Amrabad and Nagarjuna Srisalam in Telangana and Andhra Pradesh and Simlipal. There are no other stable tiger populations anywhere in these states. So that I think is the biggest challenge that in the coming years. You don't just have to focus on the numbers, you also have to look at the occupancy, because that is the true benchmark of whether you are actually succeeding in conservation of tigers or not.
Right, absolutely. But at the same time, let's also celebrate the fact that after 50 years, the numbers that we have, which is something the Prime Minister also spoke about, and the fact that this was launched in 1973 at a time when obviously, being a developing country, there were other priorities, but we have still managed to protect these spaces and done much better than many of the other, countries that have tigers in them. And 70% of the world's tiger population, wild tiger population, is right here in India. So that is a reason to celebrate.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I mean, when you look at the project in entirety, it's been a huge success. And, if you look at how we have done at a national level or as well as internationally, there is no doubt that Project Tiger has been perhaps the most successful conservation project that at least Asia knows of, and probably one of the most successful in the world. So that is a challenge, interestingly, that in one half of the country, there's a challenge that we have succeeded in conservation of tigers by and large. And now we have to accommodate for the, increasing tiger population and how to manage them in such a way that the communities are on board, and the byproducts and advantages of successful conservation program now spill over into the forests adjoining our tiger reserves and also the communities that are dependent on these forests. So that way there is, and all credit goes to successive governments as well as especially the field staff of all of these tiger reserves. For 50 years they have toiled very hard, often without any recognition, without much support. But they've proven that if the bureaucrats, the conservationists, and the political class all come together over a common goal, we can turn things around.
Right, absolutely. And Neha, final word to you. Yes, the focus on the forest staff as well. Raza raising an important point there because, we need to appreciate them more and states need to empower them more. But so even as we celebrate, our achievements but at the same time remain very conscious of the challenges.
Absolutely. And, in India, forest staff are expected to do everything, right? When it comes to maybe having an event, they are supposed to, set up the tent, the logistics, fighting forest fires even, and losing their life to forest fires and patrolling extremely difficult territory. And the tiger is truly a national animal. It's there in the salt water of Sundarbans. It's there in the mountains of Arunachal. It's there, on coastlines in some of the areas in India. So it's all over. But patrolling these places is extremely hard. And there's always been an issue in India of not having salaries released to field staff on time, not having full capacity, and these are structural issues that need to be dealt with the kind of political will that the Prime Minister was talking about yesterday. And these are issues that can be solved as long as we recognize that the hard work done by forest and field staff is something that needs to be looked at as a structural issue that needs to be solved. They have a lot of issues in terms of health insurance, in terms of not getting wages, in terms of not feeling recognized in the way other government officers get recognized. And these are, of course, remote places. These are places that are very far away from the mainstream eye. So we must continue to raise their issues and hope that the issues get solved structurally. They really are sort of the front line of conservation in India.
That's right, and we all love the tiger, and so we must, also recognize their service and their sacrifice that goes into protecting this animal that everyone loves in India and around the world. There are countries that, people have never seen tigers, but they just love the image of the tiger, and that's something to celebrate, that right here in India we're able to, protect the tiger and its flourishing. Thank you so much both for joining us on the program today, and we'll continue to focus on these issues. With that, time for us to slip into a short break.